My name is Priya Shah, and I did a global consulting project with CDC Group, which is the UK's development finance institution in London. So they have a £2 billion mandate to invest in Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And our project was essentially a sector mapping value chain analysis of the food processing industry in Africa. We had 5 people in our team, and they came from very different backgrounds, private equity, social enterprise, consulting, and also economics sort of consulting as well. So we essentially teamed up to create a very strong skill set team. We had sort of the top-down analysis, which was very quantitative. So we essentially performed on 4 different quantitative filters on the size, growth, margins and transactions element of the subsectors in the food processing industry. And then we did a qualitative piece, which was the bottom-up country analysis. So in sum, it was a very, very rigorous project, which in a sense, one of our clients said would actually be a 2-year job, but we did it in 4 weeks. One of the main challenges was the size of the project scope. It was a very large scope. It was essentially to analyze the food processing industry across the African continent in 4 weeks. And so we had 4 filters, quantitative filters in order to do this, and also 12 countries to map. So it was really the size that made us very sort of overwhelmed at first, but then we were able to counter that with sort of various ways to streamline some of the project aims. In addition to that, the client often changed some of the aims halfway through the project, so we had to adapt to some of those as well. And but the team dynamic was really fantastic, and we were able to work with a really good pace all throughout the project. The subject on our MBA program that was most helpful was probably the finance core class, which essentially introduced us to the concepts of margins and transactions, size and growth. But to be honest, a lot of the understanding of the industry really came on the project itself. So none of us knew much about food, none of us knew much about the value chain, none of us knew much about Africa. So it was really a hands-on learning exercise for us. I think the project has reconfirmed what I'd like to do. I would like to be involved in impact investing in emerging markets, and for me, I'm from India, so South Asia was an automatic fit for me, and I know a lot about the South Asian market, but the African market was something really unusual, and so now I have this newfound knowledge about food processing in Africa, and it's going to be really sort of useful in the future for any kind of particular value chain or sector mapping analysis that I choose to do. And in addition to that, I think that the private equity way of forming the analysis and kind of really framing the question and doing the detailed insights will be really helpful for any future due diligence process that we undertake.